This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Welcome in, Ballsville gamers, to another episode of the Ballsville podcast. I'm your host, Scott Fitzgerald, a.k.a. Lutes for Sale on Sleeper. And this episode is brought to you by the BallsvilleGame.com. Our games combine fantasy football and poker, which create big payouts with great odds. It is Turkey Week. We are joined by my co-host, Bills Mafia. They call him Sklem. It's Sean. What is up, Sean?
Not much, my friend. How you doing?
And we are joined by another guest. His fat head is in the middle of our two, and he is John Madden. Welcome in, John. Well, I guess he doesn't really want to talk.
Yeah, I think he's on mute right now. I'm not
He
sure
must be on mute. Well, he's showing us what we're going to eat on Thursday. He's presenting it. I guess he calls it a turducken or turducken or whatever.
Turducken. Boom.
Right. And so, Sean, what is the first four things you put on your plate when you go up to that smorgasbord of feast that is in front of you on Thursday?
Green beans, corn, mashed potatoes, and gravy, and turkey.
Okay. That's almost about what I do. So I do the turkey, white meat only, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, which my wife makes. It's outstanding. And then dry, not wet stuffing. And then I just take the brown gravy and just smother my whole plate with it.
I do a pretty similar thing with minus the stuffings. I'm not a fan of stuffing. So I don't do it that way, but I do the mashed potatoes, all white meat, turkey, and then gravy over the top of both.
That's awesome. And then
so what don't you like, though? Is there anything that you don't like that always at Thanksgiving? What is it?
So I don't like yams.
Me neither.
Okay, I don't like yams.
My girlfriend just goes, "What?" in the other room.
Yeah, don't like. People call them like candy yams or whatever. I just
I don't like them though. No.
Okay. Right. Some people make like sweet potato casserole. I don't really like that.
No, I don't like sweet potatoes. That's another thing.
Yeah, I don't like sweet potato. Yeah, I don't like sweet potatoes either. Now sometimes people bring like cheesy potatoes, which I like, but I don't want to eat so much of that stuff. So
I love cheesy potatoes. If they do cheesy potatoes, I half my mashed potatoes and do cheesy and potatoes, and then half the mashed potatoes.
Got you. What's up, Zoobs? Yeah, Zoobs says green bean casserole can
absolutely. I thought he was hyping it up, and then I read the last half of his sentence. Dude, for me too, the number one thing that I can't stand that everybody tells me I should like, other than stuffing, because stuffing is everybody can't stand that I don't like stuffing. It's cranberries.
Oh yeah,
cranberries. Everybody loves cranberries, and I'm like, dude, they look so disgusting to me. They come out of a can, just looking disgusting, and then people are like just swooning over it. I'm like, this is disgusting to me. I don't understand what's wrong with you people. I said, save the turkey for me. You guys can have that purple crap.
And then I got a couple other ones for you. Do you like dinner rolls or cornbread?
Oh, cornbread. My family's Nebraskan on my dad's side, so it's absolutely cornbread. Yeah.
Now, did you ever have a jalapeno cornbread?
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
It's awesome.
It's amazing. And if you get like the jalapeno cornbread with the honey butter,
oh yeah,
best.
Good. The first time I ever had jalapeno cornbread was, I think I was driving from Vegas to Arizona, and I stopped in some like diner, and they had some hillbilly diner, and they had a jalapeno cornbread, and it was so good. Okay, and I got one other one for you. Do you like pumpkin pie with whipped cream, or would you rather have cherry pie or apple pie a la mode?
Pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie with whipped cream?
Yeah, pumpkin pie is the best. I love pumpkin pie with whipped cream. Tons of whipped cream. I mean, like, I want a little bit of pie with my whipped cream, kind of whipped cream amount.
All right. What's up, Jimbo? Jimbo's on the pod. You just missed our turkey talk. So
yeah, man. I mean, if you didn't miss it, then you understand. Oh, look, cherry pie. See, he didn't miss enough. He saw the cherry pie conversation.
yeah,
So he's
so
cherry pie guy.
that was Zoop. So yeah,
Oh yeah, that's Zoopsies.
Yeah, so I try to do like a double. I'm not a big sweets guy, but I will have like a small sliver of cherry pie and small sliver of pumpkin pie, and then I just put a big scoop of vanilla ice cream on both of them, and then eat that.
I do like apple pie with ice cream. That's my close second favorite.
Got you. So yeah, so
do you have Marie Callender's out there on the East Coast? Are you familiar with the Marie Callender restaurant chain?
No.
So there's a restaurant chain that's been out here in Vegas for years called Marie Callender's, and they're famous for their pies. And like people would like literally go in there. They had like a little pie bakery area right in the front of the restaurant, and people would just go in and buy pies and walk out. And as well, like it was also a pie place. And they had this amazing seasonal strawberry pie that was just like to die for. So every single time that we would get that strawberry pie, and it was usually around the holidays, if I'm not mistaken, that we would have the strawberry pie on a regular basis. So like that's something that I really, really like. If you have a good strawberry pie somewhere in your, hometown, that to me is like the best.
And it's called Maria Callender's?
Marie.
Oh, Marie Callender's.
Marie Callender's, yeah. And it's like they have like frozen foods and like pizzas and like all that stuff too. And like they're a really large chain out here. So I assume that they were at least on the West Coast, but they might be, more local than I realized. So
I think Marie Callender's.
He's looking for his Marie Callender's sucks. The crust is oily.
What's up, Frank? I think Marie Callender's out here. I mean, I don't. From what I take Marie Callender's, isn't that like weight loss stuff? Like, hey, fat fuck, eat this and you won't gain weight, kind of thing.
No, not the Marie Callender's I used to eat at.
No,
they were more like a IHOP kind of, or maybe I don't know, like an IHOP meets Applebee's, kind of a type of place. I guess it's hard to envision, like, because I would only eat there really like food wise during like lunch and stuff like that. So it was always kind of like what we talked about almost.
Fran. So Fran says Jenny Craig. Oh, maybe that's not.
Yeah, that's what what you're thinking of, Scott. It's Jenny Craig. It's great. Oh man, we haven't heard that in a while, huh? It was Epic ran her right out of town.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's crazy, but
yeah, the frozen pot pies. They do have frozen pot pies, dudes. Marie Callender's.
Those frozen pot pies are pretty good.
Oh, absolutely. They're one of those and like the little burritos, the little bean and cheese, like little mini burritos and stuff. Those are like my favorite little frozen snacks, like heat real quick frozen snacks.
Now one more question for the food on Thanksgiving. How many days will you eat the leftovers? I will only eat them on Friday and then I'm done with it.
It depends on how you eat them, man. I mean, like I usually have like little mini turkey sandwiches with the Hawaiian bread rolls for, a good couple of days afterwards. And, there's always like a bunch of great cheese left over from like the multiple charcuterie trays that were placed around the house. So I'll usually have a bunch of really good little turkey sandwiches and, stuff like that. So I'll eat on it for probably through the weekend at least.
Yeah, I'll eat Friday, I'll eat it on Friday and then I'm like done with it. I'm like, okay, I've had enough. I don't want this anymore. So
right. Speaking of had enough, do you feel like we've had enough turkey talk and everybody's going to be annoyed that we haven't said a thing about the NFL yet?
Yeah, but it is Thanksgiving week. So, I mean.
Right. I mean, look at John sitting there going, what are you guys doing?
So, but anyways, so yeah. So we're going to have an amazing, actually, we're going to have not only 3 games before Sunday, but we're going to have 4 games because we have a game on Friday too. The Raiders and the Chiefs will be on Friday.
First Friday game in history, right?
Yeah, for sure. So the NFL is just stuffing our face with football, even more football, which, I mean, we're not going to complain. What else?
Dude, I think that we'll get it every day except for Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I think we'll eventually have a football game. And maybe Saturday. college.
Alex in chat too says you guys are cracking me up. Yeah, well, we crack ourselves up too. So
you should see my family gatherings, dude. There's like 30 of me running around. It's ridiculous.
But yeah, so we and another thing too is that we've got basically 2 more weeks in the fantasy football regular season. Most playoffs start on or pretty much all the playoffs, I'm pretty sure, start week 15. We're gonna have 2 more weeks to jockey positions and get yourself ready for the playoffs. I know when we go through some of our leagues, some teams have already clinched playoff spots, which is great. I know some leagues, I think outside of Ballsville, if you're in outside of Ballsville leagues, some playoffs have, first round buys if you get the first top 2 spots. So people are jockeying for those bye weeks to help with injuries and getting your roster squared away. So yeah, it's very important now to get try to not only secure your starting lineup, which we talked about a few weeks ago about going through trades and doing that, but also now it's a good time to get your bench.
That's
bench
right. Thank you, Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy reminded me that there's a game on a Wednesday this week too, on Christmas Day's Wednesday.
Oh wow!
Thank you for the reminder. I forgot about that.
So yeah, so another thing is most time some leagues, I don't know if all leagues, but usually when the playoffs start, they kind of stop waivers. I know some leagues do that. So these next couple of weeks is a good week to just go clear out your bench and put guys on the bench that may need to help you in case you do come into an injury situation. So still really important to get that stuff going for the week.
Speaking of injury, man, should we pour one out for J.K. Dobbins, bro? Yeah, I feel for that guy, dude. For him to go out again with a knee issue, and I mean, we haven't had any updates yet, but it doesn't sound like there's a lot of optimism coming out of there.
Well, I mean, I saw him yesterday come back out of the tunnel, and he was running with a brace. So, I mean, I feel if
just being able to run and jog compared to football, cuts.
Yeah, I mean,
running back.
We'll see what happens. I mean, nothing's out, but yeah, I feel he's like, even though he's a Buckeye, he's one of my favorite players because, I gravitate towards guys that come back from multiple injuries and carve out a role in the NFL. So I'm rooting for him. I did trade for him in a few leagues, probably about 3 weeks ago.
We just talked about that trade the other day that you made. That's right.
Yeah, so I traded him for DJ Moore, and DJ Moore had a pretty good day, but I figured long-term Dobbins would be better. So yeah, I'm crossing my fingers and hopefully it's nothing that's going to be long-term.
So do you have Gus Edwards available in that league where you can go and try to swoop him up?
No, somebody has him already. So, which I'm surprised somebody still had him on his bench this whole time. But
so what about the Rook? Do you think the Rook might be looks Fidel? Yeah,
I could probably go and snipe him up. I haven't done my waivers yet for tonight, so usually I wait till after the pod and then I'll go through my leagues and see if he's available. But yeah, I'll definitely add him as a claim, or because like I just mentioned, I want to clear out my waivers or clear out my bench, get rid of players I'm not going to use, and try to incorporate handcuffs and
guys like Luka and Cooper, you want to snag like a Whittington, or something like that.
Yeah, just guys that are like one injury away from getting us, some targets or some carries or just anything like that. That's what you need to do with these, teams, especially teams that, like you said, that are going into the playoffs. I mean, if you have a team that's not going in the playoffs, you have no business picking up players. I mean, obviously,
you shouldn't even be doing anything at this point. But, I feel like it's rude unless you really need to do something to have a starting lineup for a week. That's the only time you should make a transaction if you're out of the running at this point. There's no reason.
Yeah, just make sure you have a starting lineup. But yeah, just don't go pick up guys and put them on. If you're really don't really have to. It just kind of doesn't make any sense. Okay, we're gonna move on to some player news. We'll go through the quarterbacks real quick. Aaron Rodgers told Pat McAfee on the Pat McAfee show that he hasn't decided yet if he wants to play football in 2025.
Of course he hasn't.
I got a pretty easy choice for you, Aaron. Just retire. I mean,
yeah, put us all out of misery, please.
Yeah, nobody wants to play anymore. nobody wants you to drag this out all through the offseason. I don't know if I'm going to play. Maybe I want to play just to keep yourself relevant. Nobody cares about you anymore. Just get on your bike.
Dude, if you're the Jets and he's hawing and trying to wait, throughout the offseason on giving you an answer, do you just cut him and move on so that you can move your team in a different direction and not have to worry about all this back and forth with him?
I mean, I don't own the Jets. If I did, I'd just be done with him. I mean, look what he's done to this organization. I mean, he brings in Devontae Adams, brings in Alan Lazard. He brought in who was the other receiver he brought in?
The kid, Randall Cobb. Didn't he have Randall Cobb?
No, Randall Cobb. Yeah, he brought in Randall Cobb. I want to bring my guy in. I want to bring this guy in. I want to bring this guy in. Look, dude, you're not in charge of bringing people in, okay? That's other people get paid to do that. So I just think any organization that he goes to or he's on, it's just a drama show. And, it showed. The Jets are terrible. The Jets don't, they don't play the correct football. Like I've said before, they should be running the ball, playing good defense. They just need
I have a theory too about that. When you have a player that acts that way and has obviously that much power within the organization, the other players are seeing this happen and they don't want to play for that player. That's not what they're there for. You know what I'm saying? They're there to play as a team with other players on the field together. And this completely takes away from your team atmosphere. So the other players are not out there with the type of, drive and energy that they normally would have because this guy that's running their team into the ground is frustrating the shit out of them. And, and he's basically taking away a prime year out of their careers, with his selfishness. So if I was a player on that team, I'd feel the same damn way. I'd say, dude, I'm tired of playing for this guy. I don't want to play for Aaron Rodgers. I signed up to play for Robert Saleh.
No, and there's two ways to look at it. I mean, winning solves everything. I mean, if the Jets were, in the playoff race, we wouldn't even be talking about this. No one would even care. But, unless
they would be playing better. They would have to be playing better for that to be the case. Yeah. So there wouldn't be an issue.
But I mean, a lot of people said the same thing about Tom Brady. He's a diva. He's all they care about is him and his wife. But you know what? He won Super Bowls. Same thing with.
I remember him being like bringing all of his guys with him all the time. I mean, maybe one or two receivers came with him that were like their career.
Gronk was his man. He always wanted to try to get him on.
But that was it. Like he wasn't sitting there trying to take over the team, get coaches fired, do all these weird things. He went to a team that was basically ready to roll on purpose and went in there and basically just stood in and the quarterback position in Bruce's offense and was willing to do what necessary to win the Super Bowl. So, I mean, Brady had a different thought process than Rodgers does because Brady grew up in that Belichick kind of mind frame of team first.
Yeah. So, but anyways, enough talk about Aaron. So we'll move on. A couple other quarterback situations. Tommy DeVito has a forearm injury. Looks like they might be firing up Drew Lock, which they probably should have did in the first place. Also, Gardner Minshew, the mustache man, broke his collarbone. So it looks like Aiden O'Connell will start against the Chiefs. I think that's probably the right choice instead of going to Desmond Ridder.
Do you think they signed DJ?
Pardon me?
You think they signed DJ? Danny Dimes, you think he goes to the Raiders?
Well, no, because Daniel Jones apparently thinks he's great at football and he can just do whatever he wants to do and says he wants to go to a contender. I mean, look, you suck at football. You don't say I'm going to go somewhere. You go where you're going to get a job. I mean,
what contender right now is going to give him a starting job?
No,
he could be a backup, but that's the best he's going to get.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if he really wants to even play. I mean, I think it just comes down to, look, I suck at football. I'm never going to go lead a team to a Super Bowl. So I'd rather just go to a team that's going to get to the Super Bowl and maybe I'll win a ring. So that's.
Well, hey, come to Buffalo. I mean, he's a better backup than Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, I mean So yeah, that's kind of what's going on in the quarterback situation right there. Brock Purdy got some light work in. They definitely need him back. But you know what? The Niners window is closing for the playoffs and any kind of Super Bowl contention down the road. I mean, they're just not very good right now.
I mean, even getting Purdy back, they're going to have a really hard time beating Buffalo.
Yeah. Do you think their window is closed, Sean?
I mean, I think so just because they got Buffalo this week. And, unless, the Cardinals and the Seahawks both lose, also, which there's nobody on bye. So yeah, if they both lose and then the Niners, I mean, they still have statistical opportunity to get there, but I don't think that they're gonna make it. I really don't. I think that they're looking at like a 3% chance or something ridiculous, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think their window is just about.
So what are they going to do now next year, though? Because they got to pay Purdy, right? They got to do that this offseason. They just paid their boys Ayuk and Bosa, right? Didn't Bosa sign a contract too this offseason?
Yeah, Bosa signed.
They're going to have a lot of money already wrapped up in players, and then they got CMC costing them a ton of money this year. Who Achilles issues and what's going to happen there? I mean, do you think they're going to be able to stay the team they are and be competitive, or are they going to have to do kind of a soft rebuild?
I mean, they could. I mean, remember they were banged up all year. I mean, so they never really got a true, everyone's in the lineup kind of deal. So
they do have aging players, though, too.
Yeah, they have aging players, but we're talking about 1 year down the line. So I mean, if they come out next year, they get off to another slow start with the players in their lineup. And no one's injured, and they just can't win games, then I think the door is closing rapidly at that point. If they come out next year,
they trade away players at that point. If they're out of if they're sitting at like say
next year,
say they're sitting at like 2-6 next year, going into week 8, right? Do you think that they start looking to trade off guys like Kittle and McCaffrey to start like kind of building around Purdy?
Yeah, I would agree 100% there. I would definitely do that. I would definitely be trading Kittle. I'd be trading, McCaffrey to a contender. I'd be trading Debo. I would try to unload everybody on the offensive side, keep the defense, and build around Purdy. So
what about a guy like Fred Warner? Because he's like a defensive star, but he's also older. So you don't want to build around him per se.
Yeah, but he's like another coach on the field. So I would play him out, and he could teach the young kids coming in.
Didn't they draft his kind of heir apparent this year, like a Tulu, like what's that guy's name? It's like the Hawaiian dude. I think
I don't know if he was a linebacker or he was I know they had a safety that went out on injured reserve early in the season. He kind of reminded me of Palomalu. He was really good, and he got hurt.
That was he was playing last year. That kid you're talking about, right?
Yeah, he was really good.
I know who you're talking about.
And they still got Bosa. I'd keep Bosa. So obviously, and their defense is okay. But like I said, I think you just build around Purdy at that point. But we'll cross that bridge next year when that happens. So all right, let's move on to running backs. We have a mess in Washington. So Brian Robinson tweaked his ankle. Austin Eckler has a concussion, so he's probably out this weekend.
He had a wicked concussion.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I don't understand why they have him on kickoff returns. That's so stupid.
Yeah, especially after Brian Robinson went out. If he's your second back and Brian Robinson's still healthy, okay. But as soon as Brian went out of the game, he should have been there, pulled off of the kick team, and the second kick returner should have been in the game as kick returner for the rest of the game.
Right. So you're looking at McNichols. You're looking at Rodriguez possibly. And then they're talking about bringing in Boston Scott or James Robinson for a visit today. So I guess McNichols, if they do sign Boston Scott or Robinson, possibly Boston Scott, a little bit of him. But, I don't know. I just hope that Brian Robinson can play.
I was going to say, has there been any updates on Brian Robinson today at all? Did they say anything about him? Is he week to week or day to day or anything?
I didn't say anything. I'm assuming no news is good news. So that's kind of what I'm looking at is Robinson could be okay for the next game. We'll see what happens.
They play Sunday, so it's not like they have to worry about the early week. So that's good news.
Both David
14, so if he has any kind of questionable issue, they might say, don't even worry about it. Sit him out this game, give him a full 2 weeks to really 100% heal before the stretch run.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Like I said, that's something that we'll monitor. The Lions play on Thursday. David Montgomery said he will play for sure. So I wouldn't worry about David Montgomery at all. We already talked about J.K. Dobbins. We'll have to, look more into that. But you have Gus Edwards. If he's out there, definitely want to pick him up. Maybe pick up Vidal if he's still out there. They also had, I don't even know if Vidal would be the next man up because it looks like Hassan Haskins was in there a little bit. So he might even be a sneaky ad over Vidal. So I would look into that. Pacheco,
yeah. He seems like he's their goal line guy though, so that might not change for him.
Yeah, true. But he did play some between the 20 plays yesterday, I noticed. Isaiah Pacheco has had a full week of practice. We will see how those two are utilized. But from what I'm reading, it looks like Pacheco is just going to slot right into his normal workload. I think it's going to be more of an 80-20 split. What do you think, Sean? Like 80-20?
Yeah, I think so too, because I don't think that they're as confident in Kareem Hunt anymore. I think they kind of feel like Kareem Hunt might be running out of gas a little bit, the way that he had a lot of they had a lot of Samaje Perine in the game this last week, even with Pacheco still out. And he didn't really do very well against Carolina's defense, if I'm not mistaken, either. So, he should have ran all over that defense, and it really didn't come out that way. So I think if Pacheco's 100% ready, them keeping him out last week might have been like, hey, we want you, when you do come back, to be yourself and 100% ready to go. So maybe we wait one more week. Carolina's a team we should beat, even if you're not in the lineup. We're going to play you the following week against the Raiders, who always play us tough, and make sure we can, get that done on a short week and finish out that game. So that's my thought process. I think you're right on cue with the 80-20, maybe 70-30 at the worst, I think is what we're going to be looking at. And it might not even be Kareem Hunt. It might be more Perine that spells him more often than Hunt at this point.
Wow, that's pretty gross.
I know. Hunt might get cut. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the potential could be there in a couple weeks.
I don't think they're going to cut him, because if Pacheco has some kind of relapse or gets banged up again, they got it. At least they'll have Hunt.
Yeah. I mean, if they don't want to carry him on the roster, they could always cut him and tell him, hey, just stay healthy, stay ready, kind of thing. But we need to carry somebody else on our roster for the next few weeks.
I don't know. They can cut Sky Moore. How about that? They want to.
Yeah, I mean that'd be about time, kind of in a situation there. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to receivers. If you're still holding out hope for Chris Olave, I mean, I don't know if I'd send him to the waiver wire, but it's looking like the more and more I read that he's probably not going to play again this year. He's had that really bad concussion. I think it's his second one this year. He's seeing multiple neurologists. He hasn't even been. He's just been in street clothes at practice. If the Saints are at no way of making the playoffs or look pretty deem, I would probably just move on from Chris Olave for at least for the redraft season.
Isn't this his third concussion in the calendar year? Didn't he have a concussion late last season too?
I thought it was 2. It might be 3 in 2 years. But
yeah, I think he had. I thought he had one late last season too.
Yeah, so
within a calendar year, this is his third.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so that's very, very dangerous. So, now you're looking at, he's in the same boat as Tua. I mean, he's like could be one hit away from just not even playing anymore. So, and he hasn't signed. He's still on his rookie deal, so he's probably going to want to try to at least stick around to get another deal. But it's like, who's gonna give him a massive contract if he has these concussion injuries? So
it's crazy. A guy like Chris Borland. Do you remember Chris Borland was the linebacker that was drafted high by the Niners to be the heir apparent to, I believe it was Patrick Willis at the time, was retiring, and he was going to come in and be the middle linebacker. And he was super good. Played one season with them as a rookie and came in there and really played well and was showing some real promise, and ended up retiring in the offseason after his rookie season. And he didn't have any concussion issues or anything. He just was like super freaked out by all the stuff he had learned about CTE and decided that he didn't want to even take the chance, and figured that it was, more important to keep his brain healthy than it was for him to want to play football anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. I mean, my daughter's boyfriend played pro hockey for the Flames. He's a goalie, and he had 5. I think he said 5. Concussions within like a 2-year span, and he just said, "I'm done." Even the doctors told him you should just stop playing. If you want to live a healthy life in the future. So yeah, those brain injuries are pretty scary, and
it's unfortunate that they can't even figure out if you have what you're dealing with until after you're dead. Like I wish there was ways that they could do some sort of brain scanning, and I'm sure they're working on options, and someday it'll happen. But for now, I mean, the only way that they could find out that you're dealing with any CTE is after you die. They can, literally chop your brain up and look at your brain, but there's no other way for them to tell that you're dealing with CTE issues other than, just your concussion history and assuming.
Right. So, all right. And then one other wide receiver note, Amon-Ra St. Brown was limited today, but he's going to play on Thursday. That's no brainer. Moving on to the tight ends, Jake Ferguson did not practice today. The Cowboys play on Thursday, so he's a long shot to play. So I'd fire up Luke Schoonmaker again. I mean, he was a smash spot in DFS, cheap tight end, scored a touchdown. So looks like Schoonmaker's going to be the starting tight end for Thursday. If you were able to get him off waivers last week and you played him, you were rewarded with a touchdown. So I would stick him right back in my lineup going forward. There's nothing else on that point.
I have a question for you, tight end related.
But, yeah.
Where do you have Jonnu Smith ranked throughout the rest of the season?
Pretty high. Pretty high.
5?
Well, I would say top 5.
Yeah, I think I got him at like 7.
I got him top 5 because there's still a lot of, volatility at the position, and we'll get into that when we get to the scoring leaders for the week. Some guys are starting to come back from injury that are performing. Some guys are still not performing, like, Sam Laporta has just been a total bust this year. I mean, being on
both our guys, Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta have had down
just
here.
A total bust. So, we'll get into that. We get into our next segment, which will be our players of the week that we'll get into. We'll start talking about these positions. So, we'll get into the quarterbacks for the week. And number 1, Jaden Daniels, front runner for the Rookie of the Year, 275 and 2. Another.
I think he only had like 8 points by mid-4th quarter too.
Yeah, until
that. It's crazy. I think I heard Adam Rank saying that the other day, and I was like, you know what? You think he's right, because I remember looking at it, going like, "Come on, man! Like, what are you doing here?" And then all of a sudden, bam, Terry McLaurin and him, just make magic.
Yeah, and Jaden Daniels helped me over the weekend. Hit my season prop. I had Jaden Daniels at over 550 rushing yards for the season. I got that. He has 556 for the season. So, I hit that prop, which is, thank you very much, Jaden. Got you 30 points. Pat Mahomes comes in at number 2. Another good week, 269 and 3.
Who's that? I don't recognize that name.
Pat Mahomes.
I haven't heard that name on this list in a while.
Yeah, definitely. He's been playing a little bit better. He's not getting the yardage that the 300-yard games, 350 yards, but he's right around 250, 260, but he is getting the touchdowns, which is nice. And I think that's because the Pacheco injury. So we'll see what happens when Pacheco gets back. If maybe he goes back to this 1 or 2 passing touchdowns a week instead of 3 or 4. Can you all unpause John?
Nope, that's where John's at, man. He's on freeze mode today.
Oh yeah. Yeah, John's just he's just in awe of our commentary of what we're evaluating here. So
and look at Doobsy's talking up Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels. That's an interesting question there as far as Rookie of the Year. I think that Jaden's still ahead of him, but Bo's creeping up there, man.
Yeah, what's up, Jerry Bagshaw, C-Bomb? What's up, guys? You guys are in here. No, we talked about that last week. I mean, Bo Nix is right there. I think what's going to get Jaden over the top if everything stays the same is His rushing upside is just a little bit more than Bo Nix. But Bo's right behind him. Their completion percentage.
They're on the opposite directions right now too. Washington's lost a few games in a row now, and then Denver's kicking butt, and they're in the playoff race. If Washington falls out of the race on the NFC side, and Denver stays in and makes the playoffs, and Washington doesn't, do you still think that Jaden ends up with Rookie of the Year over Bo Nix?
Well, I hope Jaden gets it because I got a prop bet on him for Rookie of the Year. So, I mean, I'm going to be selfish and say I hope Jaden. And I love Bo Nix. I mean, I drafted Bo Nix as much as I could in Dynasty, anywhere I could.
You should have made the same prop bet on Bo Nix, man. You would have been set. Whichever one,
Yeah, I should have put because I'm sure the odds were crazy.
All right, Bo Nix probably was like a really good odds for that.
Yeah. So coming in number 4 is Caleb. He had a nice big game, 340 and 2.
You can get somebody whose odds probably were not as good as Bo Nix's.
Yeah, true. Lamar comes in at 5. Another great game. MVP candidate. Sam Darnold comes in at number 6. Bo Nix at 7. Matt Stafford at 8. Baker 9. Cooper Rush comes in at 10. Justin Herbert at 11. And look who comes in at number 12. Bryce Young comes in at number 12. So some guys that were left out. Yeah, some guys that were left out. You got Stroud, Hurts, Love, Richardson, Goff, and Kyler Murray. 10 points out of Kyler Murray. So we already talked about Daniels and Nix. So I want to talk about, Sean, next year. How high do you have Sam Darnold, and how high do you have Baker Mayfield?
Well, I'd have Mayfield over Darnold, just not knowing where Darnold's landing spot's going to be, because I'd be surprised if he starts in Minnesota next year. If he does, it's because maybe the kid's not 100% healthy yet. But I anticipate McCarthy getting that job and going into his second season. So my thought is that Darnold has done enough this year, as long as he doesn't completely crap the bed for the rest of the way. He's done enough this year to find himself a bridge gap scenario next year. So maybe a place like Raiders, where they draft a kid that they don't want to start right away and they can bring him in to play a few years first, or something like that, or maybe a team like the Jets, again, going back to the Jets, maybe he tries to help bring them back to life again.
Could you imagine him going back?
I know that would be pretty epic, dude, for them to bring Darnold back into the fold down there. It'd be a Jets-like move too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, wherever Sam Darnold ex USC grade goes, he is going to get a massive payday. So he is going to get paid wherever he goes.
There's going to be a lot of teams looking for quarterbacks next year, I think, but there's not going to be a lot of spots for a guy like him, because there are going to be places that are going to draft quarterbacks over signing him. So it's going to be interesting to see who actually is the team that ends up falling in love with him.
Yeah, true. All right, let's go to the running backs, and let's go to the big mega throbber that we saw, and that was probably, I'd say, Sean, the number 1 overall pick next year in non-Superflex leagues, Saquon Barkley.
Oh, 100%, man. I mean, the dude is just ridiculous, dude. We were talking about it yesterday's pod, in my crazy scoring league, the guy scored almost 1,500 points by himself. So it's ridiculous what he's doing right now behind that line. And he looks like he is literally having the most fun he has ever had playing football right now. This is like him, back when he was a kid running around on the field with his buddies after school, kind of attitude right now. And it's working out great for him, running behind that line. Jordan Mailata is out there just plowing guys over again, and it's going to be like that probably throughout the rest of the season. So, I mean, if I'm a Lions fan like you, brother, that's the team I'm concerned about right now, more than anybody else, I think, in the NFC. Yeah,
I think the Philadelphia Eagles, man, I think they're the best run organization in the whole National Football League. I mean, they know how to trade for players. They know how to draft. They know how.
Howie Roseman is the best at what he does, man.
Yeah, he's great. Are you know what though? One thing I don't think I'm really fully buying in on is Sirianni.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of his. I don't think he's doing like the best job he can with the team that he has. I think that team has so much talent on it too that, a good coach can get a lot out of that team, but a great coach, I mean, they'd be in Super Bowls every year like the Chiefs with a great coach.
Right. Okay. Coming to number 2, Josh Jacobs, quietly having a really good season. Bucky Irving coming at number 3. We're going to circle back. I want to get Sean's take on the backfield in Tampa. Comes in at number 3. Jahmyr Gibbs at 4. Tony Pollard comes in at 5. Very nice game. Great DFS play last week. Devon Achane comes in at number 6. Aaron Jones comes in at number 7. Nice game. Love Nick Chubb, man. Coming in at number 8. Love the guy. Like I said, I have a soft spot for guys coming back from devastating injuries and perform well. Amir Abdullah, he was pretty much the free square in DFS. Really nice game. Got you 17 points. David Montgomery at 10. So you got 2 Lions in the top 10. Jaylen Warren comes in at number 11. I've always said I think he's the best back in Pittsburgh out of the 2. And then Chuba comes in at number 12. So Jonathan Brooks, I don't know if they're just slowly bringing him back or if Chuba's just going to just keep the ball rolling. Guys outside the top 12, we had Kyron Williams. He came in at 18. James Conner at 20. Joe Mixon had lackluster game coming in at 21. And then Jacob Dobbins came in at 25, but that was injury related. So I want to go back to the Bucs backfield. Going into next year, Bucky Irving's got to be the number 1 coming out of that backfield. Would you agree, Sean? Bucky Irving he was a good find.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I don't think Rashee White's going to stay there. If I'm not mistaken, he's on his last year of his contract, his rookie deal this year, if I'm not mistaken. So if that's the case, I think that he walks and Bucky takes over that backfield. Maybe Sean Tucker is his number 2. But I definitely don't think that moving forward into next season that backfield's going to be, anything but Bucky's.
Rachaad White did get in the end zone, but he only had 1 reception. And what was telling was Bucky Irving had 6. So Irving, and people that say, oh, Bucky Irving can't catch the ball. Yes, he can catch the ball. So they have their, this is what they wanted Rashad White to do, is what Bucky Irving's doing. So, so he's definitely going to be a little higher drafted next year than a lot of people think. So that's the running backs for the week. We're going to go through 2 more positions, and then we're going to get into some dynasty talk with Alex. He's in the background, and we'll introduce him in. So
I have one more question before you run off from running backs real quick. Yeah. So with Pacheco coming back and what we just talked about, would you play him over a guy like Tony Pollard?
Pacheco over Pollard?
Yeah.
I would just because of the offense.
Yeah, the offense. You don't think the matchup has any kind of a say in it?
No, I'm not gonna. I think the Chiefs know where their bread's buttered, and it's giving it to Pacheco. He, like I said, as long as he's healthy, he's gonna get. I'll take an 80% Pacheco than 100% Pollard. In a better offense. The Chiefs are going to be in scoring position more, which means more touchdowns. And then if most of the time, if the Chiefs get up in games, when you salt away games, you're going to run the ball, and that's what Pacheco. They'll just be handing the ball off to Pacheco. So not saying I don't like Pollard, but I'm just going to go with the better team, better offense, better situation, game script.
Yeah, and if they do start to blow away the Raiders, then it's going to be all Pacheco for the second half of the game.
Yeah, for sure. Now they may pull the reins back a little bit. They may stick in Kareem Hunt to polish off the game, on Friday. I don't know if they're going to want to go out there and give, Pacheco 25 touches, especially just coming off the injury. If they, give him a little bit of a workload on Friday, then they have a whole nother week to rest, and then they can fully unleash him. So right. I'd hold back my expectations on Pacheco, getting like 20 to 25 touches. I think it'd be more like 12 to 15 touches. All right, let's go on to the wide receivers. And coming in at number 1, a guy I've told you guys to buy, in Dynasty weeks ago. If you can do it, and it's Jordan Addison, 8 receptions for 162 yards and a touchdown, 30-point performance. When all the attention's going to Jetta, Addison's just pretty much one-on-one, and now with Hawkinson back, it's going to even open up more space for Addison. So really like Addison and Dynasty and the rest of this year. Cortland Sutton.
Was that game 4, Scott, for Hawkinson? Is that game 4 for Hawkinson?
I think
is that 4 in a row for his starts?
Yeah, I think it's 4. Yeah, I think it's 4.
Just
He's got 4. Yeah,
just checking. So we're halfway. Yeah, we're halfway to you rocking the wig, baby.
Yeah, he got hit real hard too on the game. He got like.
I bet you were like all looking at it.
Yeah, I didn't think he was gonna get up. He laid on the turf, and then he like reached his hands out to like help me up. I'm like, oh man,
Scott,
I don't wish injuries upon anybody. I'm just like, here it comes. So, but no, like Bo Nix looks like he's unlocked Cortland Sutton. All Cortland Sutton needed was quarterback, and he found one. Jalen Waddle comes in at 3. So I think it was somebody said that in chat. Who was it about Tyreek? Somebody said Tyreek's injury is
he hurt more than?
Oh yeah, it's hurt more than they're let on. Oh, you're possibly right because Jalen Waddle smashed. So along with Jonnu Smith, so he comes in at number 3. Got a couple Bears receivers where the receivers go to die in Chicago. You got DJ Moore and Keenan Allen coming in at 4 and 5. AJ Brown comes in at 6. We all predicted that with Devontae being out. Jacoby Myers comes in at 7. I love this guy the rest of the year. I said it a couple weeks ago. Go trade for Jacoby Myers. He's going to be a target hog the rest of the year. Terry McLaurin was pretty quiet until that another crazy ending in the Washington game. Comes in at 8. Zubikis' crush. Puka comes in at 9. Nico comes in at 10. David Moore comes in at 11 for the Panthers. I think that's just an aberration. And then Cooper comes in at 12. So you got 2 Rams in the top 12. Some guys that finished outside. One guy I want to kind of circle is Michael Pittman. He did get 6 catches for 96. Josh Downs is going to be out a couple weeks with a shoulder injury. So you can go ahead and fire up Michael Pittman and feel safe about it. They do play Detroit, they played Detroit last week, so it was a good spot for him to get the yardage that he did. But yeah, Downs going to be out a couple weeks. You also have who else we got out here? Oh, Malik Neighbors,
they
man.
Play New England this week.
New England, yeah. So still, I think it's a good spot for Michael Pittman. So yeah, you could put Michael Pittman in your lineup and feel comfortable. And then, like I said, Malik Neighbors. It's just been a bad year with the quarterback. We all know it's a quarterback situation. Hopefully, with the change to Drew Lock, if they do go to him, we'll maybe open Malik Neighbors up a little bit. So we will go there on all that. Is there anything you want to talk about with the receivers before we move on to the tight ends, Sean?
Just that Cooper actually had a similar scenario like Terry. He really didn't have a whole lot going until he got that last second touchdown. So that might be something to keep an eye on because they were just ripping the ball to Puka most of the day. So if that continues to be the case, I'm not sure how confident I am that Kupp is going to constantly be like a good scoring, consistent player.
Yeah, no, I don't. True. I didn't mean – I thought they would be more 50-50 this year, but it looks like Puka is like, kind of the go-to guy, which it kind of looks that way. Like Stafford's just going to Puka more than he is Cooper Kupp. So
and they were drawing up more plays for Cooper or for Puka, and they were a lot of the same plays that they used to draw up for Kupp. So it was a little scary for that scenario too. Like I don't know if it was just they're going to rotate them back and forth, and they're both going to be 1 week it'll be a guy who has that game plan, and the next week it'll be a different guy. But they definitely were ripping the ball to Puka quite a bit, and Kupp was barely there until the end.
Right. Okay. All right. We'll move on to tight ends. Coming in at number 1 is what's up, Trevor Silva. It's his favorite guy, Trey McBride. 12 receptions for 133 yards. Monster game for Trey McBride. We talked about Jonnu Smith, 9 for 87. The Dolphins never use the tight end. And now
thanks for telling me to play Goddard too, by the way. I appreciate that.
That was so bad. I can't believe he didn't get – well, you know what? He did I don't know if he dropped a touchdown or he had a touchdown target. And I don't know if he got interfered or he just dropped it. But He did have an end zone look, so it just that didn't
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. Don't try to church it up, man. Jonnu just destroyed him this week, and I had to sit there and watch him do all that on my bench. And then I just kept thinking the whole time, I'm like, man, Scott better be right about Goddard. He better just come in here and just blow up this week because Jonnu is scoring all these damn points on my bench. And then I'm watching the Eagles just go to town. Barkley running his ass off everywhere, and where's the hell is 88? I don't know. He's non-existent almost.
Unfortunate. So can't get everything right. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm just teasing you.
Coming in number 3 is Noah Gray. We're going to circle back. I'm going to get Sean's take on the Chiefs tight end situation later. George Kittle comes in at 4. Ken's crush, T.J. Hockenson comes in at 5. Probably his best game of the year. 7 for 114. There's the horn. Coming in at number 6 is Austin Hooper. That was not very nice because I had a lot of Hunter Henry shares in my lineup, so that was not very nice. Zach Ertz comes in at number 7. Another fine year for Zach Ertz. Mark Andrews comes in at number 8. He is back on track with a touchdown. Luke Schoonmaker, we already talked about him, comes in at number 9. How about this stat line? Chico Conqua, 1 reception, 70 yards, and a touchdown. And it was just an explosive touchdown. So yeah, it was pretty cool. If you haven't seen it, YouTube it. It's pretty sweet. Cole Kmet comes in at 11, and then Travis Swift comes in at 12. So I'm going to circle back to the Chiefs tight end room. Is this the beginning of the end for Travis Swift? Are we looking at Noah Gray possibly next year, Sean?
Yeah, because I honestly, I know he said he wants to keep playing and everything, but it just feels different now than it did in the beginning of the season. As far as like what everything else he's got going on, his, obvious this relationship with Taylor seems like it's not going anywhere for a while. His celebrity status has, I think, maybe put his football future in jeopardy, in my opinion. So, I mean, he's not playing at the same level. And if he can't play at the same level, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't want to hang it up so that he doesn't, go out there and, just be frustrated because he's not getting the type of, level out of it, playing out of himself that he knows he can do. So, when you're an athlete like that, dude, it's hard to know that you're not able to do things and still go out there and play. Some guys have a really hard time with that. So, I don't know, man. I'm concerned. Even if he plays, is he still the same player? I don't know, man. It's Noah Gray looks like he is potentially the next man up in that offense, and they've been grooming him for a while. And I thought that maybe he just wasn't showing enough to be that guy, but now they're throwing him the ball quite a bit, and he looks like he's able to get open. So we'll see what happens. They brought in a kid this year too. They drafted. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. But he's a pretty athletic tight end. And the whole thought process behind that draft pick was the Kelsey tutors him up, and then he comes in afterwards. So between those two players, man, this could be it for Kelsey.
Yeah. I kind of just noticed too, like the last couple of weeks too, on the sideline, he takes his helmet off. He's got looks like he just got out of the salon with his haircut. It looked like maybe he had his eyebrows done. He just kind of looks a little girly now. It doesn't really look manly anymore. And I'm kind of getting sick and tired of the Kelsey brothers. I'm sick of seeing his fat brother on TV. I don't need to see him anymore on TV.
It's funny because I actually like them. I think they seem like pretty.
I don't like them. I mean, if it wasn't for Swift, do you really think he would have all these opportunities on Amazon and all the commercials and all this stuff? I just, go into retirement, enjoy your family. I mean, no one really wants to see you on TV. At least I don't. So,
well, I think the podcasting is really what kind of kicked it all off, as far as that's concerned. Him and his
but
brother.
Do you really get a lot of when he talks? Are you glued to the TV? I really want to know what this guy is talking about. I mean, it's not like Brady. When Brady
I
talks,
actually prefer to listen to his brother. Go ahead.
You want to listen to Kelsey?
I like Jason, but listening to Jason more than I like listening to Travis. But
I don't know. I just think it's so scripted. I just don't think it's really, he just seems like that Oompa Loomp, just sitting there on camera. I really don't want to listen to him. I'd just rather listen to somebody else. So, I mean, that's just my take. I don't call me a hater, whatever, but like I said, I just think Travis is looking a little more on the girly side, and maybe he should just move on with his pop star girlfriend. So, anyways, all right, let's bring somebody in important, somebody who's not a girly man and who's a real man, and he is our president, and we call him Alejandro Hernandez. Welcome in, Alex.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's been a while, huh?
Yeah, no doubt.
Right? Too long.
Did you say hi to our guest, our special guest of the day, Alex?
Oh, would that be Miss Francis?
No, it's the one right above your head.
Oh yeah, John. I know.
Say hi to John.
Yeah, hey, going back to that, I gotta say, I gotta go with pumpkin pie, man. I get as much pumpkin pie as I can during this time.
Oh,
right. Yeah, and I love that it's kind of like the McRib. It only comes around during like Thanksgiving, so you don't get like too overwhelmed by pumpkin pie all year long. It makes it more like awesome when you get it in Thanksgiving,
Yeah, I agree with that.
Awesome. Okay, Alex, we're gonna talk a little Dynasty.
Yeah, it's Dynasty Week over here at Ballsville, and what I mean by that is we kind of take this week, because the playoff picture is starting to come clearer, and we take this week to get all the Dynasty players up to speed on how the game works, and then from here, the next couple of weeks, we're going to be focusing on best ball leagues to get them all prepared for their championship and their wagering process.
Alex, turn up your mic a little bit.
Oh man, let's see how this goes. How's that?
It's better.
Sounds good to me. Maybe just lean in a little more.
Yeah. This Yeti right here is letting me down. So we take this week to go through Dynasty, and we have a lot of things that make our Dynasty leagues a little more peculiar. Like we don't have a trade deadline. You guys are in a couple leagues. If you haven't clinched, you're able to trade, which is pretty unique to our leagues. And the reason we do that is like the trade deadline already passed, but if you're not a playoff contender, you still can stay engaged in the league and you can trade and make your moves. Or if you're on the cusp, you can decide whether or not you're going to, go all in and start selling assets, or if you're going to, cop out and try to get some draft picks and future assets and stuff like that. So it makes for a pretty interesting couple weeks here coming up. You guys are in some of these leagues. How do you feel about them?
Well, I'm actually looking at one right now that I had like a bunch of injuries, and they're the oldest team in the league by far. Remember, we've actually talked about this league quite a bit in the podcast when the first drafts were going down. And it looked like a superstar squad coming out the gate this year, man. Like, there's no way I could lose with this team, not 2024 anyway. And then, McCaffrey, Collins, Pacheco, like all these injuries started coming into play, and my team just started going downhill. So I'm staring at it right now, and I'm sitting at 5-7 in that league, trying to climb my way back in, and I think I'm just barely in the running to sneak into the playoffs. And if I can sneak in with my healthy now team, there's a chance that I could make a deep run on that league. So I'm excited about that one. The other one, I think I'm pretty much out of the running, so I've basically been trading you all my people to try to help you out and get myself all your assets for the future so that I can make moves next year in that one.
Well, I tried to trade with you last week. And you told me you're still in the running, and you were 4-7 then, and now you're 5-7, and you're still in the running.
Yep, I'm still in the running. I'm sitting in 9th place right now, and I'm only one game out of. Yeah, I'm only one game out of 6th spot, and you're sitting right there too at 6-6, right ahead of me. But I have you on points 4 by over 100 points. So if I could get you, if you lose, brother, I'm jumping your ass, man.
Yes. Well, no, you have a lot of points, man. You have you're sitting at 1,720, and I'm in 7th place at 1,510. So you actually have more points than the person in 3rd and 4th place, which is Sarah and Trevor.
I'm 3rd in points 4, and I'm 1st in points against.
Ouch! And you do have a great squad, don't you? Have Mahomes and Lamar?
Yeah. I've got my squad is Mahomes, Jacobs, McCaffrey, Hopkins, Collins, Cup, Kelsey, Bijan, or no, I'm sorry, it's Brian Robinson, Javonte Williams. Those were my flexes this week. But on my bench, I also have who else did I have? Devontae Adams and Kincaid was my other two players that I have on that team. So as long as Brian Robinson plays, I should be DTG. Oh, if Eckler doesn't.
Before we move off of that league, it's a little bit personal to us because that's Ulstewing, and that's our podcast league where we have anybody that you've seen on this podcast is probably in that league. And last week, while I'm in the playoff hunt, I lost to Scott, who's rebuilding.
That's right, you did lose to Scott.
And then so this week, I took down Sarah by less than a point.
I was so mad about that. I was watching that going like, come on, Sarah.
I had Herbert in a 10-point lead, and she had Lamar in that last drive. His last little 10, 11-yard run put me over the top by a fraction of a point. So now I have to face Gary El Supero. He's
he's a solid team in this league too.
And then after that, I have to face Tortoise, Trevor, our friend. I have to face him, and he's second in scoring. So it'll be a battle, man.
You guys want to hear something crazy?
So I need Zoobs to lose a game, and I need Connor to lose a game because all three guys are one game ahead of me.
So you want to hear something crazy? So I'm bad. Like one of my favorite leagues is the Katana League. I'm battling with Zubikis, and the guy will not lose. Like he's not losing. So I'm like so irritated. It's like a thorn in my side. So this week I get him in the Dynasty League.
We love you, Zoobs.
I'm rebuilding, so I'm up against him. I'm kicking his ass the whole weekend. I'm like, I'm gonna beat Zubikis with my rebuilding team. He's gonna lose. He's gonna lose. I just beat Alex, and so what happens? I have a huge green bar. I'm looking at a huge green bar on my score, and all of a sudden I'm watching the game, and I see Justice Hill run like that huge touchdown. I'm like, wow, that really hurt somebody. So then I go and I'm looking at my scores again, and my green bar went to like red, like nothing. And I'm like, what the F? So I go on there, and he had freaking Justice Hill in his lineup. And that run, freaking, I lose because of that run. I'm like, what the hell is this?
I see your crazy outcome. I actually had one of the closest to perfect weeks I've had all season. I won 13 out of 15 games, and the one I lost is a rebuild, and that's 8 out of 15 leagues. So the only one that I lost that I try to win, I lost off that Justice Hill run. Yeah,
that's so ghetto. It sucks when something like that happens. Like, come on, dude.
It's really? Not ghetto, man. Hey, you got no choice but to play a guy like Justice Hill, and
you're not playing Justice Hill and thinking that you're gonna get.
Hey, week 12 was the bye-week massacre for a lot of people, dude. He might even have Pacheco on that team too, so he was probably looking pretty weak this week at running back until that run.
All right, guys. So what we'll do here is we'll I'm going to talk a little bit about the Dynasty League. And I'm going to go over one rule, and then we'll go through 4 of the leagues, and we'll check out the leaderboard. And then there's about 4 topics. We have clinching and the trade deadline. We have rookie draft order and how it's determined. We have our rules for inactivity, and we have our championship, including our wager, which we went around. We talked about that on a Friday in October. It was like October 26th or something like that, about a month ago. And then, as we go along, we'll just cover these scoreboards and stuff. We'll start with our clinching and our trade deadline. So if you're in a Dynasty League right now, I've already made the rounds today and yesterday and gone through and gave all of our players a heads up. So if you clinched, congratulations, you're in the playoffs. Unfortunately, this means that you can't trade. You can't trade until you're knocked out of contention, until you've been placed, are done competing for money. And the reason we do that is less about restricting, the playoff contenders, and more about allowing the rest of the league to stay engaged and to keep on going and make trades to better their rosters. And it also stems from a league I had where there was a constant trend. It was like the top 2 guys just kept on milking the bottom guys. And these bottom guys wouldn't trade with anybody else because those were their friends. And so every year it was a constant repeat pattern of the top two guys would get into the playoffs and dominate. And then after the season, they would go after the weaker teams, their buddies, and they would go and make, trades over a beer, and end up juicing up their team for the next season and stuff. And it was redundant. And this was something that we implemented in that league that kind of put a stop to that or mitigated it, because you're able to, let the lower teams trade amongst themselves to better their teams and stuff like that. So that's why we do it that way. So coming over here to our dynasty leagues, we have 16 leagues. Leagues 1 through 4, Shenron, Alduin, Smog, Bahamut. You can go to our website and see our scoreboards page. For Shenron, we have nine teams that are in playoff contention. The 5 and 7 team hasn't been ruled out yet because in the 6th spot we have a 6 and 6 team. Uno Cams, congratulations, Liv Mech, Jerry, I think you were in chat earlier, Justin, who's been with us for a while, and Chiro Sweat. So we have 5 teams that have clinched, and we have 4 teams competing for that number 6 spot. Alduin, it's a little bit more solidified as far as the contenders go. We have NACIT, NACIT, or whatever, undefeated with 1,866 points and kind of dominating here. I wish I had their roster. At number 6, we have the point leader with 1,951 points. Imagine having that and not clinching. Only the undefeated team has clinched here, and everybody else is still on the bubble for another week.
Wow, congrats to him, 12-0.
So Smog number 3, Bagney, Purdy Love, which is Fiery Cliff, that's just his team name. 2 players have clinched here, and we have 5 more that are in contention. Smog, there's Gary, El Super Obisto, and our buddy C-Bomb here. Myself as well. I'm in this league. We have a lot of familiar faces here. We have Gary, C-Bomb, Chiefs Life, White Knight, and myself. This is number 4 out of our 4 original leagues that were here last year. So it's pretty competitive. And if you notice, Connor, his point lead is at 1,990 points. And we'll pull up his roster at some point because it's phenomenal. He took the year last year to rebuild, and he built an excellent team. I think he's got like Jaden Daniels leading the bunch. So the next topic we'll cover is inactivity. In that Bahamut League, we have a guy who hasn't set his lineup for 2 weeks, and last week he played a playoff hopeful, and he didn't set his lineup, and we tagged him, and he failed to set his lineup. So that's 2 weeks of inactivity. If you're going to be inactive and not set your lineup during this time of year where playoffs are on the line, this person has been suspended from their roster, and they're sitting in the league for another 2 weeks. If you're in the chat here, and if you'd like to volunteer to come and run his league or his team with restrictions, you can come and check out one of our dynasty leagues and come and you run it. You're restricted, but you can run the league, run the team how you want. After the next 2 weeks, if he doesn't show up to reclaim his team, he'll be removed for inactivity. And 4 weeks of inactivity during the season is considered abandonment, and he forfeits his future dues, which means that the team is paid for, and the incoming player has the option to buy the team fully by paying 2 years, and they can compete right out of the gate, or they can enter a rebuild contract in which they pay for next year's season, which would be 2026, and they take 2025 to rebuild, but they cannot win cash. So, did that make sense, guys?
Oh yeah. What team was that again?
That was in Bahamut.
What's the are you gonna post the roster or something so anybody can look at it?
You know what? I can actually pull up.
Jim says he'll do it. Jimbo says he'll take it over.
Yeah. Jimbo,
yeah.
Jimbo Bimbo said he'll take it over.
Okay, well that's you're a perfect candidate. So just send me a DM and I'll bring you in to check it out, and you can just you're not going to be able to trade. Um, so anybody that joins our leagues is unable to trade. Uh, they have to pay in for the future year in order to be able to trade. So um, you can just come in and just kind of set a lineup and make waiver claims and stuff like that. So thank you, Jimbo. Um, that's how we deal with inactivity, guys. And what happens if a new player comes in and they pay for both years to compete for cash, and the old player has left their forfeited dues? That creates a plus $25 overlap, and that gets credited a portion to the Ballsville game, and another portion goes into the championship pot, or that league may play a mini game or something for that money. We'll go into the next four leagues. Um, Charizard, we have Red Kingdom that clinched. We have TB that clinched. Brady, congratulations, guys. You're ineligible to trade, but you're in the playoffs. And we have a 6-person race for the last 3 spots. In Toothless, we have Hubs, we have Ethan, and we have a 7-person race for the last 4 spots. In Deathwing, we have Oren Beck is the only person that is clinched. And then we have a bunch of contenders competing for these last few spots. So all this you guys can go check out on the website. Everything's updated for week 12 for Dynasty. Scott, you have high stakes updated?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so Dynasty and high stakes are updated. I don't know about low or mid. Haven't really asked the managers. We only ask our managers to update on weeks 10, and then the appropriate weeks for each game. So it's like week 14 for the mini leagues, and then week 15 for the big game, 16 and 17 for redraft, and for the big game, because that's our championship weeks. So Charizard, league number 5. All right, we went full circle. That's fine.
We were on Skitherix, right? Skitherix. Is that the next one that we were gonna do?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. We have Echo leading the pack at 11-1. C Sims, a familiar face. We have another Jerry sighting. Shout out to Jerry. And our friend Zubikis is in the 4th spot here at 8-4. 1,849 points. He looks to be 3rd in points. So things are hitting up. I don't think I saw any undefeated teams here. Nope. All right. So we have rookie draft order. We had questions about this because I released a statement saying, rookie draft order is going to be determined by max points. So some people were confused and thought, the highest scorer was going to get the 101. It's quite the opposite. Max points shows us your team's potential throughout the season, and the worst teams get the 101 with the lowest max points. So this does a couple of things. It prevents tanking. You get to set your lineup and try to, beat these playoff contenders and spoil it and determine the outcome of the league. It ensures that the worst rosters get better picks. Number 3, it promotes the trading of overperforming older players like McLaurin and Henry. And it creates a market for injured players like Rice and Ayuk, because these players are great assets and they won't raise your point total. So it does numerous things to keep the leagues engaged. And if you're in these dynasty leagues, you probably appreciate the amount of activity that you see around you.
So Alex, with that setup, that mean that a team can make technically could make the playoffs and still get like a 101, a 102 pick?
No, sorry. Good question. That's actually it's only for numbers 1 through 6. So if you're a playoff team, then you're going to be picking 7 through 12, and your depth into the playoff is going to determine that. So champion gets the 112, and runner up gets a 111, and so on. And it's just our way of kind of mitigating, where these draft picks go. Of course, if you trade them, then that's a whole other story.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why, if you want to gain an edge in dynasty, I'm sure you guys know this. You kind of take into account where people are, and if you're on the bubble, like if you're where Sean is, and say last week, Sean, you're 4-7, I might try to give you some players that I really don't think are going to perform and try to get one of your draft picks if you had any. Because if you don't make playoffs, now I got a top 6 pick. You know,
Yep.
if you crop out for the next 2 weeks, that could be, you know, up there at the 1-3, the 1-4 or something, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's not going to happen because I have all those points for. So,
no crap. I honestly, I looked ahead and you have a really good shot at just winning out and taking one of these spots, man. That'd be pretty cool.
I hope so. I was kind of looking at it too while we were talking about it. I'm like, man, it's right on the verge, dude. I could sneak my way in and try to maybe snag myself another flex guy, just cover that one last flex spot. I think I'm golden.
So last week, so Scott, when did you decide to rebuild in that league? There had to be like a specific turning point for you, right?
It was when I started making the trades with Sean.
Okay.
So that was what, Sean, like 3 weeks ago?
Not quite 2 weeks, I think it was. I think it was 2 weeks ago because that's when I got the Brian Robinson and Javonte Williams deal off you, which looks horrible 2 weeks later.
Oh, well, hey, thanks for this comment, Connor. So here's where we went into depth about dynasty leagues. We actually covered all games. So if you want to get like into, we'll bypass the wagering right now. If you're in the leagues, you're going to get notified about, you know, time to wager, and your managers will come help you. It's really cool. That information's on the website, and if you want to go check out that podcast on that date, we got into depth about the wagering system and everything. You guys want to go into last
What's that? Yeah, we might as well. We've got 8 more, right?
Yeah, we have 8 more. We'll just breeze through them real quick. We'll go to Haku here. Haku Tua. P. Grote has clinched at 11-1. This is Dear Aiden.
Adonis. Dear Adonis.
Yeah, he's doing this thing in his team.
Must be Italian. Is that what that is?
Yeah, it could be. He was surprised to learn that he had clinched. He wasn't aware of that. So I came through and tagged everybody. So Hubs, he's already been on the list. He clinched in another league. He's actually one of our winners from redraft last year. I think he won the redraft game, and his name's in a document somewhere. Baduk, and Balls Deep. Yeah, some of these guys are familiar faces. There's our friend Brady down there at 5-7, still competing. So that league's wide open. Lareth, we have Jaw Flip at 11-1 is clinched, and nobody else has, not even the 9-3 team, which is pretty crazy. I mean, he's got enough points to hold on to it, so he's pretty much clinched. Ulstawing, this is our league. This is our go-to. There's Sean right there at the bottom, clawing his way.
Too old for this.
Too old for, and you are, man. I wonder what your average team age is. It's got to be up there.
Oh, dude, it's got to be over 30.
Yeah, you just need a Derrick Henry to complete it, man.
Right.
We have Zubikis in the hunt. You have myself. I made some moves here. We have Connor at the 6th spot, not safe with 6-6. The dealer is back. That's our friend Ken. Hope you're doing cool, Ken. Trevor at number 4. Sarah at number 3. Our friend Tasso, Gallos 18. He's clinched at 9-3. And El Supero, Gary, clinched.
Yeah, this is a really crazy league, man.
I love that league, man. That's why I didn't want to call it. I didn't want to lean into the rebuild because that league it's dear to us. We covered that on the podcast.
Yeah, it's one of those leagues that's like so much fun to play in, and there's so much that could happen over the next 3 weeks in this league. Like all the way, I mean, Trevor is still not locked into the playoffs at 7-5. I mean, he could easily miss the playoffs with the schedule that's upcoming and what's happening right now with the matchups. So it's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I face him in week 14. So it could be a win and get in situation for both of us. That'll be pretty exciting. We'll let you know on this podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
For Tsunami, we have Thomas Popoff who has clinched, and then it's wide open. 9-3 team has not clinched. and doesn't have the points to feel that secure. I mean, he's got enough to beat number 6, so he's probably in.
Yeah, like a cheeky hanging in there. That the 8 spot with the 5-7 record, still not quite out of it.
One of these leagues, the person at the 11 spot is still in it. I just couldn't screenshot the entire list.
Yeah, he's got a pretty unfortunate scenario too. His points against are at like 1660, so he's got a quite a high points against for him, and he's just down there at 5-7. With his teams looks like they're pretty solid based on his points. So I would be worry about
median.
What's that?
About median?
About who?
About league median.
Oh, league median. So I think depending on the situation, I like it. Like what we're doing in the triathlon, for example. I think having the league median adds that extra 8 games to the records, the way we're going to set it up. So, I think that really helps a lot as far as determining the team, seeding in the end of the season.
Okay. Scott, you like it?
I like league median. Yes, I do.
Okay. We'll probably make a push to implement that, at least in redraft, maybe even dynasty too. But I think the more I watch it play out, the more it's grown on me personally.
Look at Jimbo. He don't like it.
I know a lot of people don't like it, but I mean, if you really look at it, because I run league median, or actually I run double headers in another league that's non-Ballsville, but but I noticed that either if you play double headers or you play league median, it always seems like there's more parity in the league, and the cream always rises to the top.
Yeah, definitely. So Connor brings up a good question. He asked if we went over the Empire portion of our dynasty leagues. We did in that prior podcast, but these are Empire leagues. They do have an Empire element. It's not predominantly up front, but it is there. It's pretty hard to do. So we have a podium. When you wager and you score the most points, you get a place on the podium, and you have actually you don't have to wager for it, but we have the top 3 scorers out of all 16 leagues. We call that the podium. You get first, second, and third, and you place. So the odds of doing that one year are stacked against you, but somebody's going to make it. If you make it 2 years in a row, that's an Empire when your league allowed you to dominate, and your league resets, and everybody buys back in. You get to collect your future dues for that league. So there's a lot of money to be had, and the Empire win is one of them. And all this stuff it's pinned in messages every year. It's in the bylaws. We go over it. We kind of reiterate it along the way. And no matter how many times we try to put it in everybody's face, there's always going to be a handful of people that show up late, and they're like, I didn't know that. What are you talking about?
That's what the website's for.
Yeah, that's the goal. So
right.
Speaking of the website, at the end of this year, when we go into the off season, we're gonna plan to invest a little bit into the website, and we're gonna have a chat feature, and we're gonna have some more interactive stuff, where you can share posts. It's gonna be kind of like what our Discord's doing now, and just let us communicate with each other a little bit smoother. And then you'll be able to contribute any kind of topics that you want us to cover on the podcast and stuff like that. It should be pretty cool going forward into next year.
Yeah, 100%.
Here's another league that a few of us are in. Sean is down there again, 5-7 competing.
Hey, what can I say?
So I'm there too at the number 7 spot, and if you look, I'm actually on a 6-game losing streak. I started off 5-1, and then I had so many points against me. I think I'm first on this list in points against. People just keep blowing up, man. It's hard to avoid.
Yeah, dude, this is the league that I actually traded you some players and started my rebuild basically with this team. And I'm still sitting in the running. I basically knew that I had a team that even if I make the playoffs, I'm not a good team. So I was like, it's not worth me trying to stay in this race and make the playoffs if I'm going to just get one and done anyway. I need to utilize my pieces right now and trade them away while I can. So that's basically what I've done. And the fact that I'm still actually alive is hilarious.
Okay. listen to this. So I actually lost this last week because we made the trade, but it was after kickoff, and so I didn't get to play those players. I had to play Kenneth Walker over Kyron Williams, which wouldn't have made a difference because I lost that Justice Hill touchdown. This is the one. Um, but the guy that beat me is in last place. Now this is a dynasty league, and one of the things that I did this with Scott and ended up losing, and then I could have did it again, but I chose not to. Um, so this guy's in last place, and he had Justice Hill, and he had Isaiah Likely, and I had a 6 point lead, and I had like 5% chance of winning. I went and offered him a second and a third and a couple of players for those players, knowing he would have nobody else to play. Now, is it ethically, proper? Probably not, but it would have gotten me the win. That was so important. I would be sitting at 6-6 at least, with the points to get into the playoffs. Um, but I offered that to him and he didn't accept it. And I was like, well, he probably accepted it or didn't accept it because it's the right thing to do. But that win meant nothing to him. And he could have had draft picks and he could have had a couple of players that were younger than the players that he was giving me.
But it wouldn't have been fair to the other guys competing in the league, Alex.
I wanted to get your opinion on it. Scott, what do you think, man?
All I know is if we would have did that second trade that we were going to do, remember that trade, Alex?
Yeah.
I would have slept like a baby.
You would have beat me anyway. It wouldn't have mattered.
That's hilarious. Oh man.
So that similar thing that we were on the cusp of doing, that's the same kind of thing I offered him. I was going to overpay for these guys, and he didn't want to do it. And I was like, "All right, dude. Well, your call." But I was willing to. So I have a little bit of sneakiness, I guess.
Hey, Alex, on that Empire, is it top 3 teams over all 16 leagues or top 3 scoring teams in each league?
No, overall, out of the whole game. So
okay,
you were talking about 16 teams and 12 leagues, or 12 players per league, 16 leagues, sorry. So you've got to really dominate your league back to back. And if your league lets you get to the point where you're dominating the game, if you dominate for 2 years in a row because you have this super freaking team, that comes from your league. So the game doesn't pay. Other leagues don't pay. Your league let you do that. Your league allowed the game to be reset and allowed you to win the Empire. So that's why we do it. So, we want to try to keep everybody.
So basically, everybody in that league is to blame.
Yes, exactly. And what it is if somebody were to join our dynasty game and say they had friends in the league and they let one guy dominate, this is our buddy, he let him beat the other guy and he's dominating. We don't want that guy to keep on dominating every year. We want like, all right,
we want to keep parity.
Congratulations.
Yeah, makes sense.
Anyways, to wrap up, Chief Life, Steb clinched over here. Big old race. I'm in it. Time at nobody's clinched over here. 8-4, down to 5-7. Everybody's still on the hunt. At 8-4, Kroos has clinched over here in Shadow. He's the only one. This is the league I was telling you about. Look at down here at number 11. It's cropped off, but he's sitting at 5-7 as well. I don't know how that happened, but everybody is in the hunt. It's pretty crazy.
And 3 teams at 6-6, so it very easily could be all 3 of those teams that don't make the playoffs, and 3 other teams at 5-7 below them jump in and take it.
Yes, and so in week 10 or 11, one of those weeks, I went through and meticulously checked out matchups and future matchups, and I was giving people like scenarios, like, hey, you have so and so this next week. That's going to be an interesting one. The game of the week. This week is going to be so-and-so versus so-and-so because the winner takes that 6th spot and, things like that. So whenever I have time, I like to go and break down the league and kind of give like an assessment of where people are and trying to help them understand, if they're going to be eliminated, if they have a shot of getting in, just kind of keep everybody engaged and let them all, get a taste of what it's like to be in a Ballsville Dynasty League because we kind of pride ourselves on these. And rounding out number 16 is Richardson. This is Ken's league. A lot of these people are his buddies. He put this together. And Richardson's the only one that has clinched at 9-3, and everybody else is wide open. So that is our dynasty leagues.
All right. Well, that wraps up dynasty. So yeah, we were running a little late on time today, so we're going to wait for the mid and the low stakes to get updated tonight, and then we will do the high, mid, and low stakes on the Friday pod for you guys. So we'll tune in and take care of that business. Maybe do some Alex. When is the me and Sean were talking about this earlier. When are the mini games in the big game? Are those the mini games are going to finish in 14, right?
They finish their season in 14, and then they have a 1-week championship where everybody just you win $30 and you either keep it or you throw it in. And then there's you can win your division. It's a passive bonus. You can win the game. That's a passive bonus. And then there's also a wagering bonus if you decide to wager with your $30. So there's a lot of money to be had there. But that whole game is done after week 15, and we get out of the way, and you can go and focus on your playoffs and the other games and stuff.
Okay. All right. And then okay. All right. Well, that wraps up today's show. We will get into, like I said, redraft dynasty or redraft on Friday's pod. And we just want to wish you guys all a happy Thanksgiving. God bless you and your family. So please go to like and subscribe to the podcast. Go to theballsvillegame.com for all your fantasy needs. You can check out all these scoring updates that Alex just went over for all our leagues on our website, theballsvillegame.com, along with the tools section. On our website. It was a big week in DFS this week. I actually put a lineup together that took down $100 or 100-man tournament. So using the tools, I was able to put together a pretty nice roster to take that tournament down, cashed all my cash games. So please go on there and use those tools. If you're not, you're just leaving money on the table. So for Alex Westlex Hernandez, our president, for my co-host, Sklem, Sean, until Friday, gamers, enjoy your Thanksgiving.
And for John. And for
John. Oh, yeah, I can't forget. And for John, I am Lose for Sale. Have a good week. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you on Friday. We are out.
That's a wrap.
Good luck, everyone.